and David Tafuri, former foreign policy advisor to the Obama campaign and State Department official. Let's start here with Lindsey Graham, senator, who tweeted as this, quote, "The Biden administration's decision not to send these weapons is a betrayal of Ukraine and democracy itself. Ukraine is not asking for American soldiers, just advanced weapons to protect and defend themselves from Putin's invasion." Apparently, once again, the Biden administration is intimidated by Russian rhetoric. This is another terrible day in the continuing travesty of Biden's foreign policy. David, I'll start with you. What do you make of the president deciding here that sending these advanced missile systems is a step too far in helping Ukraine, despite the president there asking that they desperately need them?
Well, this comes in the context of the war in eastern Ukraine becoming much more bloody, as Trey just discussed, and Russia making a little bit of progress, unfortunately, and gaining some momentum. At the same time, Ukraine wants to launch an offensive to recover cities in the south that were captured by Russia and liberate them, like Kherson. So what Ukraine and the Ukrainian government is saying is we need more advanced systems, particularly more advanced missile systems, in order to combat Russia, especially when it's making this progress in the Donbas region. We need to be able to hit their positions behind enemy lines, and we need to be able to hit their resupply areas. Now, Biden was reportedly going to provide Ukraine with the MLRS system, which is a tactical missile system, and that came out in the media 3 days ago. Biden just recently said, no, I'm not going to provide any systems that can reach into Russia. That doesn't mean he's not going to provide the MLRS system, but he may provide it with missiles that can only go shorter distances and that Ukraine can't use to attack Russia.
Right.
Now, there are some reasons not to allow Ukraine to attack Russia, because we don't want to escalate the war, and because Russia has always said that it needs to defend itself from Ukraine. So if Ukraine were to attack inside Russia and injure civilians, that would actually aid the propaganda that Putin is putting out.
Right. But Aaron, what do you make of this notion that these weapons, these missile systems, could further provocate Russia? There's already a war, right? I mean, is there really a line here for further provocation? How serious is that?
Well, the Biden administration has continued to pursue a policy of appeasement even before the war started. You need to remember, they gifted Putin Nord Stream 2, thinking that that might help Ukraine. Then they went and turned around and encouraged, through reporting, that Ukraine cede some territory to Russia in order not to escalate. This policy of appeasement has not worked, and the false narrative of the idea that we don't want to provide any lethal weaponry that could strike into Russia is one that's not founded in fact. Why? Because the Biden administration has treated this as a communications issue and not a policy failure on their part, because they seem to forget that in this war, Russia and Ukraine share a border. Any weaponry we have provided up to this point in our effort to help the Ukrainians maintain their sovereignty could easily strike within Russia. Again, they're playing this on the communication side and not taking it seriously from a policy position where they think Ukraine can win.
David, this has not been a good week for Ukraine. The President Zelensky asking for these missile systems doesn't look like, at least right now, that he's going to get them. You have the further aggression in the east in the Donbas region. I'm wondering, where do you think we go next here for the president? I mean, at some point, you do have to just give them what they're asking for. We've given them $56 billion. Why would we send this message, given that we're starting to see cracks in the European Union there about not fully supporting a, quote, full-on victory there in Ukraine, by pushing the Russians out?
Well, we need to support a full-on victory. You know, it's been a mixed week for Ukraine. I mean, you just showed video of President Zelensky. He was in Kharkiv. Imagine that a couple months ago, Russia thought it was going to take Kharkiv. Now the president can go there and visit Kharkiv and rally the troops and give medals to those who have fought bravely. They're also launching, as I mentioned earlier, a new offensive in the south. They could take back Kherson. They're going to protect Odessa and their Black Sea ports. So those are all important positive things that are happening for Ukraine. But no doubt, Ukraine is only only going to win this war and push Russia completely out of its territory if it continues to get the advanced missile systems and advanced weapons that it desperately needs in order to launch offensives and not just be defensive. We haven't talked about the air campaign, but it's also really important that Russia does not control the skies above Ukraine, and that requires Ukraine continuing to get anti-aircraft weapons and also getting fighter jets that it can use to continue to contest the skies with Russia.
Aaron, I just wonder what